Hey, this is your friendly neighborhood Manny Moonraker at UFO Buster Radio News, episode number 209. So I got a story today, a story that's coming out of Scotland, across the pond. And it's not a new story, it's a story from way back when. So we can consider this, for you folks who know what I like to call these, a legacy incident. That's right, it's 4.2 far old as fuck. And that's what we're going to talk about today because I found it on a nice little nifty website. And thanks to the UFO Buster Radio Twitter bot, actually. It was a Twitter bot that found it. And like I said, the Twitter bot is going out there through Twitter and finding all these UFO sighting reports. And this one came up because that's what the Twitter bot does. It finds things for us. But you're not going to know that unless you follow me on Twitter at UFO Buster Radio. And if you feel froggy, you can go to the Facebook pages, Manny Moonraker, and the Facebook page, UFO Buster Radio. And lastly, Twitter's at Manny Moonraker. I'm sorry, fuck my life. Instagram. I always got to fuck this up at least once in the beginning, just to get it out the way and feel good about what I'm doing. And I know you guys enjoy that quite a bit, to be honest. But our story today goes way back when. But before I get into that, listen, I actually, the last episode I tried to call some dude by the name of Big O. And Big O apparently Big O works during the evening hours, so he was asleep. Who the fuck sleeps during the day like that? God damn. Anyway, he says maybe Monday. Monday we might be able to catch him and bring him on here so that he can talk some craziness. I don't know if he's going to make it or not. It's possible he will. It's possible he won't. I can't tell you. I honestly have no idea. But we will make an attempt on Monday to get the Big and the O on this episode here and see what he says. See what he has to say about things. Also, I'll be reaching out this weekend to all the folks who wanted to be interviewed on the podcast and make some arrangements for them to get on here and talk about their UFOlogy craziness. By the way, I like it when people say UFOlogy because it makes it all that more different than the ufology shit we're used to. But let's get into our story for today. By the way, the lines are open, 972-290-1329. I mean, Big O might not be here to test it, but shit, if you're listening live right now, come on, dial it, 972-290-1329, and we'll see what happens. See if you get through, because I don't even know if you're going to get through or not, but it's a work in progress as far as I'm concerned. Listen, the story about this guy is absolutely crazy. It is fantastic. It is amazing. It is something you must read. I'm only going to give you the highlights, and some of you that are out there in Scotland, you probably already know the story. If you're out in the UK, you probably already know the story. If you're in Ireland, you probably already know the story. Yes, you have, mate. And everywhere else, I don't know, you probably heard about it. But you see the title, 1979 Scotland Abduction. Why I keep saying Scotland like I've got an accent? Scotland Abduction of Robert Taylor in the, I guess it's called Dechmont Woods Encounter. Wow, what a story. 1979. This makes this story a legacy incident just because I fucking said so. The article is titled The Livingston Incident, a Criminal Investigation of a UFO. And I said, the nifty little site, some of you might want to just go to this just for fuck's sake, just go there and check it out. It's like a blog site, but the guy, Marcus Lowth, Marcus actually covers a lot of UFO stories and incidents and stuff like that, and he writes stuff up about them. This one caught my eye just because it turned into some kind of criminal investigation. The guy we're talking about is Robert Taylor. Robert Taylor apparently got abducted, and it turned into a criminal investigation because when he came back, his clothing was all torn. He looked a little bit out of sorts, like a gang of people have gotten to him and beaten the shit out of him. Yeah, that's what happened. November 9th, 1979, near Livingston. That was the encounter of Robert Taylor. And apparently he decided that he was over on M8 motorway. And he decided, oh, shit, I need to stretch my legs out here because my legs are so weary from driving this vehicle for so long. Probably not the accent he had, but fuck it. I'm trying. Anyway, so he pulled over to stretch his legs, and all of a sudden, in the woodland area, at the roadside, he sees a flying dome. And it's weird because you usually associate flying domes and flying hats and shit with like really old sightings. Like, sightings back in the 40s and 50s. This is a fucking flying dome in 1979. And apparently he saw it and he was like, what the hell is that? It's just floating in the air on top of the trees. He says, however, it was close enough that he could make out the rough sandpaper-like texture of the black metallic material. He said it also smelled like burning brakes. That's a new one. Usually they don't report these things smelling like anything, because you would think that they, operate on science we don't understand. But usually people don't report it being stinky. So anyway, he says that he noticed that two objects dropped from the actual craft and hit the ground. And at first he says he really wasn't concerned about it. And listen, but he could feel a pulling sensation on his body, like the craft was dragging him towards it. And then he realized he had rods. Attached to his hips, and that one shot out from the small object. He began to panic and pull back from it, but his body didn't respond. Now that's bananas. And here's the thing: why didn't he just run? Get back in your fucking car and go! Step on it. Step on the gas. Come on, Robert. The fuck were you thinking? And by the way, we won't know the answer to that. That's for sure. He apparently later on, unbeknownst to him, the next thing he knew, he was alone on the clearing floor, and the object just was gone. It wasn't there anymore. After he got his thoughts together, he decided to make his way back to his vehicle. After he got 4.25 fucked up by the alien, he decided to go back. Listen, some things you just don't stick around for, Robert. You just got to go. Just go, because if you've seen anything up until then, what comes next after they grab onto you is not good news. So anyway, he got into his car, but the car wouldn't start. Apparently, this alien ship and all the crap that went down drained the battery, so he wasn't able to move. He says he continued his journey on foot until he got to his home, to which his family was absolutely mortified at the fact that his clothing was torn and he had cuts and bruising on his face and arms. They thought somebody beat the shit out of him. Like totally went in there and just kicked his ass. Like a mob of people out in Scotland went after him for some reason or another. That's how he came back. This is not your normal abduction, man. They kicked his ass. And this is what's pretty funny. There is a YouTube video about the incident that's attached to this particular article that Marcus wrote, and it's actually an interview with Robert. There's an actual interview with Robert Taylor. It's on there where he explains what happened to him. And what really was hilarious about it is that there was a point where his wife is talking, and she says that he looks so beat up, and he started to talk about when they asked him what the hell happened. He said a UFO did it, and and she said she thought he basically fell and hit his head, and she was ready to call a doctor to check him out, see what happened to his noggin, because she knew for sure UFOs were not real. So she figured that he had some kind of concussion or some kind of traumatic brain injury. And that's what she thought. So basically, this turned into an investigation because it looks like like a bunch of people done kicked his ass. But his ass was not kicked. It was basically abducted. Now, sadly enough, there never was an answer to this. And in the article, you'll also see or come across that the famed Nick Popette was involved in this. And he offered this as far as an explanation for the incident when it happened, Mr. M.O.D. He says, the case offers no middle ground. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Popette. Nick, if you're nasty. He said in his belief, Robert Taylor is a very genuine witness who had little to gain and much to lose by telling of the incident to the peoples at large. Now, sadly enough, like I was saying, we won't hear any more first-hand accounts of this because Robert Taylor did pass away in 2007. But there still remains, as the article alludes to, interest in the story. This is just a synopsis of the story. There's a lot more in there. And like I said, you want to visit the website because in the same article, Marcus also tells of another incident by the roadside where someone else had a UFO encounter that they definitely were not expecting to happen. It's a good site. I highly recommend it. The link is in the description. Read the rest of the story, especially when the investigation happened by the coppers, when they went out to the area to figure out what the fuck is going on and who the hell beat this man up. In addition to that, there's also video. Like I said, the video is great because you see Robert explaining what happened to him. They go to the scene of the crime where he got his ass beat up and his clothing torn off of him. And then there's a second video. That second video for the second incident also has the individual who was part of the alien encounter. It's a good site. Listen, I highly recommend it. I'm going to keep an eye on this site. I actually, which I hardly ever do with Express UK, but for this guy, I actually sent Marcus an email thanking him for sharing this incident because I never heard of it. And let him know that it will be part of the podcast broadcast. Not that he gives two fucks or half a pound. He probably will block me from now on. Yeah, that's the way it goes, by the way. Like I had that one lady out in Syracuse who writes UFO stories for the Syracuse Times, and I reached out to her, and she asked me one question. She said, why is the show called UFO Buster Radio? Like I said before, apparently the word buster kind of draws chills up and down people who believe in ufology, up and down their spines. And they just don't want to talk to me. They really don't. It makes no damn sense. No sense at all. Like I said before, I believe in the UFO story. I believe in the alien conspiracy. But there's limits to everything, right? So don't rubber dick me. Don't rubber dick me just because you think the word buster means anything other than the fact that I don't like fake stories and I don't like fake reports. That is the episode for today. Like I said, we're going to try to get Big O here on Monday of next week. It may or may not happen. I'll try to get him on earlier. You know, we might have like a 1 o'clock in the morning episode. Who the fuck knows? I do things what I want to. I have no goddamn schedule. I'm not beholden to anyone. I do what I want. And that's the way it goes. But I thank you guys for listening, every single one of you. I thank you for being part of the UFO Buster Radio family. Don't forget, in the future, we will have the Big Dime Betting Podcast coming your way. And I will do my best to make everyone that goes on there sweat bullets and tears. Because that's what I do. And you guys who have signed up to be interviewed, I'm going to do the same to you. No fucks given. It's going to hurt. But anyway, don't be afraid. I come in peace. And I go in peace now. Ciao.